You are a market leader operating in a highly competitive industry where efficiency and tangible results are paramount. You have a small and dedicated marketing team focused on executing regular marketing communications that must deliver immediate, measurable outcomes. You need a marketing partner that can seamlessly collaborate with your team, ensuring swift and frictionless execution, all while achieving quantifiable results in real time. My name is Tyler Chisholm, and as the co-founder and CEO of Clear Motive Marketing, we can help. With over 15 years of working with clients exactly like you from across North America, we have the team, the skills, and the processes to deliver the marketing that matters to you. Reach out to me on LinkedIn or check out clearmotive.ca to learn more. Hello and a warm Collisions, an extra warm, big-hearted, big yell, big shout-out, Collisions welcome to my friend and original co-conspirator, Mr. Kevin Crowe. What's happening, buddy?
Let's go!
And for anyone who wasn't paying attention, who just had a bit of a episode on their end, I turned 50 this year, and Kevin was at my 50th birthday party. And at one point, I said, "Kevin, we got to get everybody in the other room." And all of a sudden, Drill Sergeant Kevin showed up. I had a few friends like, "Was that your friend Kevin? Holy shit, that guy!" Like whatever he would have yelled, I would have done it at that point. So. The many faces of Kevin Crowe, brother.
Yeah,
dude, you got something cool. I'm gonna dive right in. You got something awesome, kick-ass, cool, as you always do. But this adventure for anyone who knows you is at another level. So yeah. I'm just gonna turn it over to you. What do you got cooking, man? What's going on?
Well, for many people that follow your podcast, I think we left them when I was in a very critical health situation. I was dealing with something called Trigeminal Neuralgia, otherwise known as a suicide disease. It's something that is extremely painful. It gives you shocks in your brain. And I had been hospitalized for 8 days in an acute pain situation. I had kind of fought myself out of that, tried to do a big paddleboard race in the Yukon, and it was my first race I had not finished. And kind of gave people some background on that. So good news. And that's why I said, let's go, man. I have rallied out of that situation. I am off all meds. I have been pain-free since July. And so one of those things when I was dealing with TN, I thought my life was over, right? I could barely get out of bed. I couldn't talk. I couldn't eat. I couldn't walk. I thought I had kind of ran out of time. But I fought myself back here. And one of the things I wanted to do was do big adventures, right? If you kind of think of the regrets you had. And so this is what we're going to do, Ty. This is what we're doing, man. 1,400 kilometers in the Yukon. We are going to go in the summer on my stand-up paddleboard. We're going to paddle from Whitehorse to Dawson, 715 kilometers. I'm going to do that June 26th. Then I'm going to go back up in February, and I'm basically going to do the same route on foot, pulling a sled in the winter from Whitehorse, just kind of short of Dawson, but over 700 kilometers. So 1,400 kilometers. And we're going to tie it into my charity, Give a Mile, which we provide flights for people to fly to be with their loved one who's at end of life. So that a final visit, a chance to say goodbye. And the reason and one of the main pieces of wisdom that got me out of that bed from TN, and one reason I founded Give a Mile is I lost an incredible friend, Ryan Westerman, spent the last year of his life when he was fighting brain cancer. He taught me so much wisdom, so much insight about seizing the day, living deliberately. He was 37 years old. We want to do 37 of these flights for people, 37 incredible last goodbyes for loved ones to be together. That's what we want to do. 1,400 kilometers, 37 flights.
Dude, it sounds like you're talking to me about a showcase. And there's more, Tyler, behind the story. Okay, I want to get into the racing. I want to get into what's happening this summer, winter. But talk to me about Give a Mile. For anyone who doesn't know, how long, and I know your story for Ryan, it's such a powerful story, but how long have you been running Give a Mile?
Yeah, so it was founded, we're going into our 13th year here.
Amazing.
And, we're closing in on 1,200 flights. We have people donate their unused travel miles. So if you have Aeroplan miles, if you have United miles, you can donate them. Also cash obviously works for flights. Mm-hmm. So over, closing in on 1,200 people that, have a loved one, whether they're in another city, another country, that is, in either the last few weeks or last months of their life, and they just can't afford to get there. And so it's an incredible experience. I can't tell you what it means to be able to give those flights to people. It's beyond words. But for a chance to see that loved one last time, I know, I'll just give you one example of a flight story. There was a woman who had, been raised by her birth mom until she was about 3. Then she was put up for adoption. And then in her kind of mid-30s, she started looking for her birth mom again and found her birth mom, and her birth mom was in hospice on her deathbed. And she couldn't make a flight happen. She didn't have the money. So she luckily got connected to give them all. We were able to give her a flight. She flew there, had an incredible visit with her mom. I know we talked to the hospice nurse afterwards, and they said, this woman was having a very agitated death. Just was not at peace. And her daughter showed up. They had 3 incredible days together. And then her daughter left, and she passed about 24 hours or 36 hours later. And what they said was a state of peace. These things are hard to put into words, and obviously we want to do more of this. It's so hard to say no to families when you don't have resources. So I thought we'd tie all these passions and all these things together and just do something amazing. Because I was in such a dark spot, I wanted to do something big here. So
I love it. And so is that the why now? Because you've been doing adventures since before I've known you. I got to know you through some of those stories. You didn't always tie them together. Like, you've got your passion and your drive, and you've got your 4-legged stool, the thing that fills your heart. And, for anyone who's been on the journey of even you and I having these podcasts together, you've never tied these two together. Is it just now because it's so powerful for you and it's time?
Yeah, I think all those worlds did come together for me lying in that hospital bed when I thought like I said, it felt like things were over, right? And Ryan, who was such an inspiration and just such his courage and wisdom fighting through, that last year of his life was just such a rally point for me. And I said, those things have to come together now, right? Like, I want these adventures, these big adventures that quote unquote were scaring me, that maybe, I was putting off, next year or in a couple of years I'll do that and that type of thing. But also tying that in to the impact. And hopefully, one of the things I really hope is that we inspire people through this adventure to do things that maybe they're putting off, maybe that they're hesitant on, maybe they're intimidated by.
Seize the day.
Yeah, and live deliberately, right? Like the Buddha saying is the biggest mistake is we think we have more time. And so I really hope, that can be something for other people. And it doesn't have to be big adventures in the outdoors. It can be any of those things that maybe, you've said, oh, I'm going to do it next year, or, I'll do that when I'm ready. I'm telling you, we got to seize the day. We got to live deliberately and do those things as soon as we can.
And how. Let's talk about which one are you the most looking forward to, summer or winter?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because they both have such their own challenges and risks and dangers, and I'm really thinking of it like the good old kind of sports kind of metaphor, cliche of one game at a time, right? Summer's in front of me, and that's the one I got to focus on. Doing a lot of paddling right now and getting in shape, and actually for the May long weekend, we're paddling from Calgary to Medicine Hat. It was about 480 kilometers as a training run. And I say we because I got a couple friends that are in the same race, and we'll be paddling separately, but training together. So right now, very focused. And obviously, I went up there and failed, right? I had a DNF and did not finish that race. And so there's, that kind of doubt.
You missed the time cutoff by like minutes, right? I'm just to be clear. If we
20,
want to talk about
minutes.
what the 22 minutes, what the DNF actually meant.
Yeah.
And that was after already doing how many kilometers?
Yeah, if you look at that race, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but
no, we're just telling the story. We're just giving the audience something to hear.
Yeah, there was a flood. So the Yukon River was about 1.5 meters, I think, higher than normal. There's a 50-kilometer lake on that race, and we got hammered by a massive storm on there. I'm talking big winds and rain so hard that it felt like bullets. I think 13, most people do it in a canoe, and I think 13 boats ended up sinking or capsizing. So it was a big storm. We fought through all that. I was dealing with TN, and I was on medication, and we were 22 minutes missing the cutoff. And so we got basically around 280, 290 kilometers of the 700 kilometers is where we couldn't proceed. So there's some doubts about this, right? And to me, you got to rise up.
There's some memory. There's some experience, muscle memory going on there, right? Yeah,
you got to seize it. I will say, being in minus 40, self-supported, in the dark of February is something I'm just, okay, I'll deal with that later. I got to deal with paddling this river right now. So,
fair enough. So training, how many hours a week?
Yeah, it varies. And what I kind of do is for 3 weeks, I lift my training up. And then 1 week, I come down about 10% for rest and recovery, and then kind of go back up. But the big hours, I'm looking at doing 10, 12, 14-hour days on the paddleboard to get ready for this. And obviously multiple days, such as the trip to Medicine Hat. The biggest thing is to learn to paddle when you're tired, right? And to build that kind of muscle memory. and that brain memory of like, oh, we're tired, but we keep going. And then getting things like nutrition and hydration and gear dialed in, because the littlest thing, right? Like if you're paddling and something's rubbing under your arm and that turns to really bad chafing over 700 kilometers, that can take you out of the race, right? So just getting all those things dialed in is the important thing right now.
We will talk again about the physical and the training and what's required and nutrition, but I'm really like, talk to me about the mental fortitude, the strength. What do you do with your thoughts during that period of time? And like, the body can do amazing things. If the brain checks out, the body's done. It'll go, I can quit. Great. Boom. I'm gone. I'm done. Right.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, for sure. And, it is 90% mental on these long endurance races. And one of the things you have to realize is your brain's a liar, right? It's going to lie to you. It's going to want you to stop. And so, I've talked to many people about this is, one of the things is really putting the evidence in place to that brain that's telling you to quit, right? Like, I've done this before. I've been here. I've been able to get through this before. And then also telling that voice, you're going to be okay, right? It's trying to serve a purpose to you, right? To try to keep you safe and just letting it know, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. We are going to be safe. We've done this before. And then I think, David Goggins talks a little bit about the cookie jars. One is, reaching in, and sometimes this is the best motivation. Hey, there's people that don't think I can do this. There's people that doubt me, and you got to use that anger. There's sometimes hey, people are cheering for me. There's people I don't want to let down. I also think there's the evidence of, hey, I've done this before. And there's also one now, I would say more so having, been through that medical situation, is just the fact that this is such a special thing to be doing. Being out in the outdoors and having this crazy adventure and being in such a beautiful place. And it's not going to be like this forever, right? So enjoy it, be in the moment, embrace it, right? It's going to, if you quit after a nice shower and some sleep, it's going to look very different, right? So just power through it.
Well, one will look like stopping, the other will look like quitting.
That's right.
In terms of how you filter it. So from I can only imagine the whole experience while like meditation, mindfulness, training your mind around these things and being deliberate about it. I love the cookie jar. Like, I'm going to grab this out. I'm going to grab motivation.
Yeah.
And over a extended period of time, you get to grab all the different things out of the jar. And do you set up a regime specifically around the mental training, or is that just part of like looking at like thinking about the audience? Like, what's the formula? What's the secret sauce that you use? Or it's just allowing the thing to show up, dealing with it when it shows up, but never stopping paddling?
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing for training and the reason I do those long days is it's kind of putting you in that scenario so that you're understanding it, and you're preparing it, and you're seeing it come over and over again, right? And I think all these things, courage, endurance, tenacity, they're all muscles, right? So the more you kind of exercise them and put yourself in situations where you have to exercise them, when you need them in the moment, they're going to be there, right? They're strengthened. They've kind of been called upon. And so getting yourself into those scenarios as much as possible, like I said, paddling tired, paddling in bad weather. I went out the other day, we had that big rainstorm and windstorm, and my wife's like, you're not paddling tonight. And I'm like, this is the perfect night to paddle. Like this is the night I have to paddle. There's no bad weather. There's only good training days. If I can go out and paddle in this and stay warm and feel good, when this happens on the course or the race, I'm going to be comfortable. It's not going to throw me off and go, oh my God, right? Here comes the rain. So to me, that's really important. I do think one of the really important things of this training, and I think it happens naturally, is you become very conscious of the stories you start telling yourself, right? You're spending so much time out there, you're pushing yourself, and you're with yourself. You're forced to be with your brain. And so you start to pick up on the narratives. And I think you have to really become the observer of the observer and realize when you start telling yourself bullshit stories or stories that are going to undo what you were trying to do, you have to catch those and interrupt them. There's some crazy stat on endurance, like ultra events, ultra marathons. There's aid stations. Some have 3 aid stations. Some will have them, maybe more. But I think 80% of DNFs happen at an aid station, right? Because you get there, you sit down, you get warm, you have some drinks, you get resupplied, and then people are like, I don't want to go back out, right? So,
you break the trend, you break the flow, you break
That's
the rhythm.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
How critical, these skills, you put it to an extreme level, but when I think about our society, I think about some of the challenges we all have. it sounds so relevant. You're just applying it in like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, look at that guy doing the crazy thing. But that story, that inner dialogue, that monologue, that saboteur, that bullshitter, that liar, it's very present. You don't have to put yourself into a 700-kilometer plus race to relate to that voice.
100%. And I tell people, because people are like, oh my God, like some of the distances you're doing when training, I'm like, when I run a 5K or paddle a 5K, the mental game is almost the same as if I'm doing a 100K. Maybe it's longer and it keeps happening over and over again, but getting yourself in motion. Oh, hey, tonight you're tired. You've worked hard all week. You don't need to train tonight. You could take a rest day. Oh, hey, I'm in motion. I'm pretty excited. Oh, you know what? It's only halfway. Do we really have to do the full distance, right? All that kind of stuff.
I love it. It's a big series of repeats.
Absolutely.
Bad sitcoms.
Absolutely. So become conscious of that story and intercepting it, and obviously understanding how, like I said, to work through it is key.
I love it. Who's the donor? Who's getting behind you? Who's supporting you? Like if people are listening and they're like, yeah, you know what, this is unique. And because I know when you and I chatted initially, you were a little bit like, to be transparent, we're like, I don't know. This is like, there's the thing that I do and here's my charity, and how bringing these together. I really want the audience to get their head around who would get involved here, who would support.
Yeah, for sure. And encourage anyone to go to givemile.org and they can donate their miles or money there if they want to support flights. But, we've had a tremendous response already. I kind of announced this adventure on May 1st, and we've already got funding for 7 flights, right? So we have 30 to go. It's been a great response. But, I'll tell you, the people that Give a Mile really resonates with is people that have experienced loss in their life, right? So I talked to lots of donors, and a lot of them have said, I was able to go see my mom. I was able to fly to see my brother. I can't imagine if I wasn't able to do that, what that would have meant, the stress, the regret, what it would have meant to my grieving process, right? So people that have experienced loss, I think you can understand why it's so important to, get somebody on a plane to have that last visit. I'd also say like tremendous response from, the professionals in this city. They travel a lot. They're on planes. They're collecting miles, right? So I bump into them. I tell them the story, and they're like, look, I've got a bunch of miles. I've been flying around. I would love to support the cause. 100% of miles donated are going to flights, by the way, so you don't have to worry about that. So, tremendous support. And I would say, we would love for people that, are doing adventures or doing that thing that I would say they're intimidated by, that maybe are inspired, hopefully, by this story. Hey, throw some miles or money at this. Help us get some flights out the door as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude, brass tacks. It's the middle of, we'll pick February. It's whatever time. It's minus 40. How real are the risks here? Like there isn't a helpline. There isn't a button you push that all of a sudden a helicopter magically shows up and somebody comes out of the bush with a warm blanket. There's some real risks here.
Yeah.
And as your friend, I'm saying this, one, from a curiosity, two, from deep heartfelt concern, my friend.
Yeah, I've had many conversations with my loved ones and close friends around the risk here. And, I would say the thing about these races are they're wilderness expeditions, right? And so you have to have wilderness expedition skills while you're racing, while you're trying to get someplace by a certain time. And at the end of the day, those skills, you need to keep them sharp. They need to be on top of the game. Obviously, you're 100 kilometers away from people at certain times, right? So you need to be able to survive 24, 36 hours at least before someone's going to come get you. And so, being able to set up a tent, being able to start a fire, being able to make sure, getting out of, if you're wet, out of wet clothes and getting warm, all those skills need to be on par. Those are things that are practicing. Like I said, I'm putting myself in those situations and training to make sure those are sharp. But I would say through all my experience in the outdoors, one is you are only a visitor in nature. You have to have massive respect for it. And you have to make sure that you are assessing the situation constantly. When you make mistakes, my friend that I used to mountain climb with all the time, we would say it was like stacking lemons and winning the wrong jackpot, because you make one mistake, right? Oh, all of a sudden, hey, my gloves are wet. Now my hands are cold. I can't use my hands. I can't get a tent up to get into a sleeping bag to get warm. All those things compound, right? So you have to really be on top of your game and have that kind of survival wilderness experience to kind of intervene and keep yourself safe above all else.
Just for you, I know military background. Has it also just been accumulation of like they've become your life skills because you kept putting yourself in these environments? You don't wake up knowing bushcraft, right? That's
right. Yeah. I think so. I would say personally, I feel really comfortable in the outdoors. Like it's one of the safest places I feel. Like I feel, I feel safer in the mountains than I do in a mall parking lot with the crazy drivers that are driving around there. But I also like that comes with experience and being through situations. And I do think, one of the things, and I've learned this as, I've been spending more time on a paddleboard and trying to get more experience as a paddleboard, is just that level of comfort in whatever environment you're in, so you're not on edge and you're not worried about like, well, if this storm comes, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. More that you're able to kind of be just part of the natural environment. So when it happens, you can say, well, this is where I put my jacket on. This is where I'm going to pull over and kind of, fortify and put a tent up. All those types of things come from experience, but you have to make sure that you're feeling comfortable when those situations arise.
And the more you add tension and the more you add stress, the more fatiguing and the more it burns energy. And, it's,
yes,
watch animals in the bush, they take the easy path because it conserves less energy. It's easier to walk there. Why do you think there's animal trails through the bush that they all use? Because it's easier than just trudging across. Like, I appreciate kind of just being there and being in the moment, because otherwise you just zap your energy. You'd have nothing left.
Well, and you can build, I call them paper dragons pretty quickly, right? Because, you start going, oh my God, here comes the rain. I'm going to get really cold and I'm going to get hypothermic and I'm not ready for it. And what am I going to do? And all of a sudden that storyline is in your head, right? And to your point,
you die from the story.
That's right. The panic, right? And you stop thinking and you stop like, oh, hey, I have a rain jacket in my backpack. I should just put that on. So you have to really make sure that you're not kind of building those paper dragons that kind of send you off on kind of that tangent, and stay calm and stay in the present moment.
God damn, the mind's it's a powerful tool, isn't it, my friend?
Extremely powerful thing. Yeah,
you think about, the physical nature, that is so secondary, not to be diminished, but the primary is that mental game that you're playing. Well, I love the fact that because we're going to have a hell of an episode when you get back from this, or maybe we do it. Maybe we do it in between once because I know you're going to do it. I have huge belief and huge,
Thank you. I appreciate
a little bit of
man.
concern from a place of love, because you never want to see anyone you love and care about and not walk away from something. And I also know you enough that you're going to walk right into the fire and burn those paper dragons.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Like, obviously, hey, nothing's been done yet, right? We have to go out and accomplish these 2 feats.
Yep.
But I would love to come talk to you after the summer paddle, and we'll check in with everybody and tell you how we've done, and hopefully things went well, and then we're off to leg 2.
That is amazing. Where do I go to Give a Mile? Is there or is there a specific page set up for this initiative, or can I just go to Give a Mile to donate and indicate that it's because I'm getting behind this?
Yeah, for sure. You can go to giveamile.org. There's donations there. Giveamile.org/mission for miles. Giveamile.org mission for miles is my dedicated page. You can also follow me on Instagram at Kevin Stewart, Stuart Crowe, Crowe. On Instagram, I'm doing updates there. But if you go to giveamile.org, you'll find everything there, and you can donate to flights and help us make those happen for sure.
All right, people, get involved, get supportive. We all can relate, and to the privilege of being able to do that flight when you need it, to really understanding how much pain it would create if you didn't. And I love the organizations you've created, and I think that
Thank you.
You feel it feels so abstract until you think about it for just a moment. You're like, oh, good, of course. Why would I assume that would just work out for everybody? Because that's not actually real. Yeah. Kevin, love it, man. Thanks for coming on. Love your energy. Huge heartfelt support and all the love in the world, brother.
Let's go.
Ooh.